Hey guys, we are live. Time for another cigar, dog talk, training talk. It's getting colder, so I'm smoking shorter cigars. In case you haven't noticed, I really need to get myself a cigar room indoors because I don't want to give this up for the entire season. Anyways, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. I'll wait for more people to jump on. Hey guys, how's it going? I see y'all in here. What brand am I smoking? It says Backstreet. I think it's still it's my local cigar shop. Like I think they make these nice little shorties. I like them a lot. Someone go, oh, Macedonian gangster. Why do you? I like your username, by the way. Why do you write on working dog pedigree that Gage is 65 centimeters tall when we know he's smaller? Man, you really read that. I don't know centimeters. I actually do not know how tall my dog is. I'm just remembering from the show. Um, what was the show? Last time I showed the dog, which was the only time I showed the dog, the judge sticked him, and I was pretty sure he said 65 centimeters. Is that tall? Like we do inches here a lot, so I don't really know what centimeter. I don't know centimeters. I was just kind of remembering. I was like, they're asking how tall he is. I'm like, I think it was 65. He's not tall. He's a short dog. So I'm not meaning to mislead anybody. Not that I care because no one's going to breed the dog anyway, so it doesn't matter. Literally training my puppy as we speak. That's awesome. Louisville, Kentucky in the house. Are there any dog breeds more susceptible to neck injuries during bite work? No, I haven't really heard of any. Neck injuries are typically in bite work caused by dogs that are going very, very fast in the long attack and they get jammed by a helper. Um, so it can be some German Shepherds, and then it can happen also to Malinois. Typically the off breeds don't have this problem because they just don't go that fast in the long attack. So, it's not a problem. I've never really heard of a Doberman or a Schnauzer breaking its neck on the long attack because they just don't go fast enough to do it. How often do you want your apprentices to work? Um, they got to work 2 times a week, 8 hours for each day. How's it going? We got Australia, Michelle, Greenville, South Carolina. Have I ever taken a non-traditional dog and done protection work with it? Yeah, we've done a few, but again, I'm big on this. I was just talking to a friend of mine today, and she came in and she was talking about how this lady she knows breeds pressas and she's doing scent work and dock diving. And I just looked at her like she was crazy. I'm like, if I want to go race cars, am I buying a Dodge Caravan? Like, why in God's like use the right dog for the right job? It's that simple. Like, there were dogs that were bred to do certain things. Use the right dog for the right job. I'm not taking my German Shepherds bird hunting. I'm not going dock diving with a pressa. What kind of idiocy is this? It's silly stuff, right? It's like this constant like desire to like force something that's not meant to do something to do it. It's like it doesn't make any sense to me. So no, I won't do it. Like if someone's like, I have a husky and he's really good at bite work, I'm like, okay, great for him, great for you. I'm not doing it. I'm not interested. There's nowhere to go with that, right? So you know what? Then I think he was 55 centimeters, not 65 centimeters. If 65 is small, then 55 is small, then he's 55. Uh, so I did find Mace a home. Let me talk about that. So for those of you that don't know, Mace is the Dutch Shepherd I imported from Holland. I have a whole YouTube video series on my channel that you can follow his progress from when I bought him to when we trained him to, some of his exciting behaviors when we sold him, what happened with the first home he was in. He came back, we did some training. Anyways, long story short, I did find him another home. A gentleman that was interested in the type of dog that Mace is, which there isn't very many people that are interested in that type of dog. There's a lot of people that talk online like they're interested in that type of dog, but when you really get to the nitty gritty of it, and they really understand, hey, you've got a tiger now. You got a tiger by its tail. Do you know what to do with that tiger, or are you going to get mauled? Most people, they're not so excited once they realize, hey, it's real now. You've got a real dog now. What are you going to do? Because when you make a mistake, he's going to do what a tiger does when you make a mistake, right? So there's not so many people that want a dog like that, but there are some. And a few of them reached out to me. And anyways, I found one gentleman, and I think he's a good fit for Mace. So I sold the dog. Like I say, sell, like no money was made. Trust me on that. Like I basically found him a good home and charged enough to know that he's not going to be, you always have to charge something for a dog. You should never give a dog away free unless it's to like a close friend or a relative. But anyways, yes, so I dropped Mace off today, and I'll tell you what, guys, I had a twinge of the feels with this drop off. Like normally, I don't like. I'm happy for the dog. Like he's going, like that the dog's going to go. He's going to go be somebody's number one dog. He's going to be their pride and joy. He's going to live an excellent life in their homes, so on and so forth. But Mace is a little bit. He's near and dear to my heart a little bit. Now, dogs like him, dogs that are so primal, so elemental, dogs that are not, they're not appeasers. They're not like, oh yeah, daddy, let me make you happy today. Like it's a dog, like sometimes when he looks at you, your hair goes up, like he's a real dog. Like it's like when you're I went to a zoo recently, in the summertime, and it was like one of these, like, it wasn't like a big zoo. It was like a small zoo. So you could get really close to like the tigers and the lions. And I'd never been that close before. So I'm looking at this giant, like Siberian tiger. It must have been like, I don't know how big they are, like 1,000 pounds, it looked like. This thing had a giant head, and he was pacing the cage like a few feet from me, and he was just staring me in the eyes. And I'm like, man, the hair goes up, your instincts kick in, like your ancestors instincts kick in from when we were in the caves, when we were on the tundra, when we were in the plains, right? And you're like, man, like this is an animal, this is elemental. Mace gives you that same reaction. So as you guys know, I've been training with Mace. He's pretty much the same dog he always was. Everything was good. I put him in crates. I take him out of crates, kennels all the time. So I threw him up in a crate, drove him to the drop-off location where I was meeting the transporter who was going to take the dog to his new home in the United States. So I pull the dog out of the crate in the back of my SUV, no problem. He's happy. Take him for a little walk. He's all good. And then the transporter pulls up, and he has a van with a couple crates, a couple dogs in there. So I take him to his crate in the back of the transporter's van. And they have, some shavings in there, like the guy transports dogs, I guess, professionally. So he has like some stuff in there. I told him to go in the crate. He goes in the crate. We shut the door. We tie the door down because he's going to be like in the crate for a few hours till he gets to his new home. And all of a sudden, Mace's body language changed. He stiffened up. He started, like, his eyes got a little wider, and all of a sudden he started that on the fence, like what he did when he first came here from Holland. And at first I was a little surprised because he hasn't shown me this behavior, like in since I got him since he landed in Canada. He hasn't shown me this behavior. He's been good with me, Once we were friends after the first week, he was good with me. He wasn't doing this. This is the first time I've seen this behavior in the crate, and he was just eyes wide and just the fangs were out, and he was just, he was real. Like if I put my hand in there, I'd getting mauled, right? Like I could see it. And then I said, oh my God, this dog knows. He knows he's being transported. And I don't mean like he knows as in he understands all the implications of, okay, he's going to a new place and he's going to be with he just knows he's being transported. He's been moved around a bunch of times, right? It's like I'm not the first guy that's owned him, and I'm not the last guy that owned him, but he's been moved around a bunch of times, so he knows what being transported is. And he knew, and this is the first time I've ever seen a dog know they're being transported. And in that moment when he's eyes wide, fangs out, basically in that state of mind that he was in that crate, I felt bad. I felt bad for him. I felt sad for him, because he's a victim of what he is, right? Like a dog like Mace is not an easy dog. A dog like Mace is not like a dog where you can just love him into behaving himself. A dog like Mace is not a dog where, you can just give him to a home and he can live in the home like a normal dog and sleep into bed. There's implications if you do things like that with Mace. Like you're going to get hurt, right? Someone's going to get hurt and he's going to get the blue juice. A dog like Mace, you can love a tiger and the tiger can love you, but you must never forget it is a tiger, right? How many times we see it all the time? Somebody keeps a bear or a tiger and they love it and it loves them, but something trips the instincts in that animal and all of a sudden someone gets mauled or someone gets killed. It's the same with a dog like Mace. You must always respect him for what he is and who he is. You can love him and he can love you, but it doesn't change what he is and who he is. And that's what people struggle with dogs like that. If you've never met a dog like that, if you haven't worked with dogs like that, they're different. They're not like a normal dog, right? And it's funny. I take him out of the crate in the back of my truck, and the shipper's standing there, and he like took a step back. He's like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "That's the biggest Dutchie I've ever seen." And Mace is out there like chest out. He's like looking at him, and it's like that's the impact this dog has. If you ever meet this dog in real life, he has that holy shit impact. And you have to experience it. Kevin kind of had that too, because he was so big, right? Like the screen doesn't communicate it. Watching them on YouTube, you don't get it. Like you can catch a little bit of an idea, but like when you meet them in person, you have that holy crap moment, right? So, anyways, long story short, he is in the crate and he's going, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, bye. I love you. I want things to work for you. I want what's best for you. If it doesn't work there, you can come back." But I felt it. And like, look, I'm not an emotional person. Like, I'm not an overly emotional person. And unlike what they want you to believe in modern society, I don't think that's actually a good thing, especially for a man. Like, I don't think it's a good thing to be overly emotional because it blocks your ability to function logically and reasonably, especially when things are stressful, right? So when I do feel emotions, I actually pay attention because it's not like I'm not sentimental. I don't feel like emotions. Okay. I feel things. I'm not a psychopath, but like when I feel a sentiment hit me, like I hit me there, I stop and pay attention because it doesn't happen all the time. Like I'm not like overly sentimental all the time, right? So when it hit me with him, I was like, man, he knows. Like this dog's been, he's a victim of who he is. It's not his fault he is the way he is. He's such a unit. He's such a dog that, he's just a lot. He's a lot. He's beyond what most people can handle. Even people that are interested in dogs, even people that like dogs like this, he's beyond what most of them can handle. So I truly hope that this place that he goes to, and I have high hopes, is going to be the place for him. This gentleman does have experience with dogs like that. So I think he's going to make it work. I just want Mace to have his forever home. I want him to be a number one dog. I want him to get out every day, get to work every day, have one guy that he's with every day. But I also want that relationship to remain stable and healthy. I don't want to see anything happen. So I got hit in the feels with Mace. I got to say, I really want what's best. Like I want what's best for every dog that we sell. But a lot of times, look, when I sell a dog, they're going to a home, like probably a lot of them go and live in better, nicer houses than I have. They're like I said, they're the number one dog. They get all this attention. They're like treated like a superstar where they go. Their families love them. It's not sad to see them go. But for Mace, just because of, all he's been through, all that's, happened with him and all that he's put others through, let's face it. I don't know. I felt a bit of a connection with that dog, but I don't have the time for him. I don't have the time for him. That dog deserves to be a primary dog. He's not a tertiary or fourth dog. He's like a number one dog, and he needs to be somebody's number one dog. So, it's bittersweet. I'm sorry that he's like that. I'm sorry that he went through that, in that moment in the crate. I'm sorry that he went through that and that he's going to have to acclimate to somebody else, but it's the only way. It's the only way. And that's the problem with dogs like this. A lot of the time people call me, I got this crazy dog, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the time I'll say no. I'll say no. But anyways, I felt that emotion. That lump in your throat. I felt it. It happens to me sometimes. And, I really, really wish for the, so if you believe in God, pray to God for Mace. I really hope he has a good life. a dog like that deserves to have a good life. He deserves to be bred and so on and so forth. I think he will contribute to the gene pool. But yeah, man, it's not always easy. My dogs are coming here in December. So excited. I sent my brother to you guys just the other day. I'm from Barrie. My question is, are growing pains a real thing for all dogs? Julie, we look forward to seeing you, number one. Number two, yes, it's not for all dogs, but some dogs, especially large breed dogs, develop panositis. And it makes them limp off and on different legs. It can continue until they're like 2.5 years old. So, it's definitely a thing. If your Great Pyrenees keeps escaping your 0.5 acre backyard, you need to get either a fence, a chain for your dog, or a cable for your dog, or you need to get a electric fence. I was just watching Foolish Video Fit Bully. Amateurs training muscular pit bull type dogs to bite a sleeve. Yeah, I'm not familiar with them. Alabama, we got Nova Scotia. Will I film soon my new stud dog Chico? Yes, I will. The video's actually already been made. The people on my Patreon, you know what? Everybody's always getting, the people that work here are always getting mad at me. I shouldn't say the people. The people that work here and that are running things behind the scenes get mad at me because I never mention any of the stuff that we're doing. So, okay, guys, I have a Patreon. I'm going to put a link in the description below. If you search me Shield Canine on Patreon, I'm there. And I'm posting like all my YouTube videos on there before, and I'm also posting raw training footage. The reason I started with the Patreon was because I wanted a place that I could post just like raw training, and like if I just felt like posting something, I could post it. YouTube, I post for sure raw training, but there are some things I cannot show on YouTube, and there are some things I will not show on YouTube, obviously. And then obviously I have my online courses, but my online courses are very structured and sequential, whereas Patreon is more, it's like free. Like I can just post anything raw that I'm doing. So you guys can see my new stud dog on there, Chico. You can see the training I'm doing with him. You can see my puppy Bang, all the training I'm doing with her. And just other cool stuff. Like I made an instructional video for Mace's new owner. You can see it on the Patreon. And I'm just going to keep posting like a lot of raw stuff on Patreon. I'll still post on YouTube, of course, but Patreon will have a little more instructional stuff, a little more like behind the scenes type stuff. And also all my YouTube stuff I'll put out early on Patreon. So in case you're wondering, you can see my new stud dog, Chico, on Patreon. I guess I should say I have a new stud dog. His name is Chico. I'm also training him to hopefully compete with him in spring. Really excited to have him. I will be taking your Pro Trainer course. How many one-on-one Zoom sessions will I have with you? There are, I believe, 4 Zoom sessions in that course. They're not guaranteed to be with me. They're going to be with me or with one of my guys. I'm not going to guarantee me because then if it's me, then I'm going to be obligated to be with everybody, and that's going to be too many people for me. But it might be with me, and it'll definitely be with one of my guys. Guy like probably like Steven, who runs a lot of the training here at Shield Canine now. And yeah, you get 4 Zoom sessions, and they're integrated into the course. How do I train my 2-year-old German Shepherd to be loose in the house alone without being destructive? She's great in the house loose, but I'm not sure I can trust her alone loose in the house. Well, there's a process for this, like you have to crate train the dog in the beginning, place train the dog in the beginning. Then you give the dog short bouts of freedom. You see how they do with the freedom. If it's good, good. If it's not, then you must, reduce the freedom and then slowly, incrementally create the behavior you want while you're home, and then test the behavior maybe in the beginning overnight or with a short stint where you leave the house for an hour and come back, and you just slowly build it like that. I'm from Saudi, and you really inspired me to start a business training dogs for protection. Any beginning ideas? There's a market for that in Saudi, eh? That's interesting. I always wondered what the market would be like out there. Like I know there's some guys in Dubai, But I wasn't sure, like, obviously we all know in the Middle East, dogs are oftentimes persona non grata. So I wasn't sure. I don't know what the market would be like there. I mean, maybe you could get a bite work culture going in Saudi. That would be interesting. My advice to you is learn how to actually do bite work, learn how to actually train dogs before you start the business because, when you come at it from a place of expertise, then, you're going to know what you need to do, right? That would be my advice instead of just saying, hanging out a shingle and saying, yeah, I do protection training. It's like, you got to kind of know what you're doing. You know what I mean? A Bernedoodle for protection. That's funny, Michelle. I have a question. Maybe you can help me out. I got a trained German Shepherd trained in personal protection, but I don't know how to speak French. Am I am at a loss. Can you help me out? French? What? I don't even know. Are you saying that the dog is trained in French, but you don't know how to speak French? In case, why don't you just look up French dog commands? It's just that easy, I'm sure you'll get a list. Would you come to Mexico to give a seminar? We are far away from dog training, but we are getting into it really strongly. There's a lot of dog training in Mexico. I don't think you're that far away from it. Yeah, if somebody has me down to Mexico and it makes sense, I would come out. A has loving the Patreon man. Hope to watch more raw training videos. Don't worry, Alexander. I love posting raw. Sometimes like I would film stuff and I'd be like, I can't put this on YouTube. Now I have a place I can put it. There are some things you can't put on the YouTube algorithm. You'll get murdered, if you do it. Like YouTube will just demonetize it or take it down or something. Like there's certain things. There's certain things, words you can't say. There's certain things you can't show. And Patreon gives you that ability. Also, I have to respect always the people in my online courses, right? They paid for those courses. I'm not then going to put out that content that I put in those online courses. Not all of it. Obviously, some of it's on YouTube, but like I'm not going to put it all out for free on YouTube when they've paid. So I can put it on Patreon though. Any experience with Chesapeakes? Yep. I don't want to be a furbomb, but maybe he needs to settle time and someone who loves him and who he can trust. Yeah, no, every dog needs this. Every dog needs this. But at the same time, people need to be safe. We can't let anybody get hurt, right? Like he already really hurt somebody. Literally, remember, it's a tiger. So it's like, yeah, we love the tiger, we respect the tiger, we care about the tiger, but we also have to always be aware it is a tiger. And human life is, of course, I'm not saying he's going to kill somebody, but he can really hurt somebody. He can really disable somebody or cripple somebody. So with a dog like this, we must be careful. If the new handler does everything right, how long do you think until Mace can settle like he was with you? Maybe like 2, 3 weeks. Maybe 2, 3 weeks. Depends. Everybody's a little different, right? And every dog is. Sometimes I've seen dogs really connect hard to people faster than like they connected to me, and then sometimes it's the other way where they like takes them a long time to connect. Versus with me it was really fast. So, you know, you lose the energy they project watching a video. Exactly. Like when I would watch videos back of Mace and videos of Kevin, I'd be like, people aren't seeing it. Like people obviously liked it. Like those dogs were always popular on YouTube, but like people weren't really feeling the dog. When people would meet Kevin in person, they'd be like, "Holy shit!" When they see Mace in person, they're like, "Wow!" Like they have a wow factor. There was a police dog in Pennsylvania who got into a fight with another dog in the trainer's house, and they put him down, and another in West Virginia who disappeared in the hands of the officer that he lived with. Yeah, lots of stories like that all the time. I think a lot of it is too, look, some of these police dogs that that they sell are just nice, normal working dogs. They're not particularly difficult, but the training is terrible. And of course, the cop, doesn't know so much about handling dogs because he's a cop. He's not a dog trainer. And they're not properly equipped with the information or the tools to handle the dog. And then bad things happen. And then maybe the cop sometimes overreacts. Or, listen, man, it's scary when something like this is. Wait, like dog fights are scary. Dog trying to bite you is scary. Believe me, I know because I've been in a bunch of those situations. And if you're not trained to deal with it properly, you can overreact and you can do something regrettable, or maybe not regrettable, depending on the situation. So, it's one of those things. And then sometimes, you see dogs that are just way too much for the handler there, and like the training is terrible and the advice that this person's getting is terrible, and they're just set up to fail, and you know what I mean. So it's one of those things that I try not to Monday morning quarterback it because I'm not in that situation, and I don't know all the details of the situation. Could he just be untrainable? Who, Mace? Are you paying attention? Watch my YouTube videos. He's very, very trainable. I've trained him plenty. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about his social interactions. Will you recommend dog Spike for fighting with dogs? Malwa, very active. Dog Spike? I don't know what that is, man. Dog Spike for fighting with dogs. Malwa, very active, minimum 8 kilometers per day. I don't know. If you're asking like about a prong collar, I only recommend those if you know what you're doing with it and you know what it does, right? What would you say is the first step in getting into protection sports? Look at the different sports, decide which sport you're interested in, maybe go out to a club or a competition, watch the training, see if it's for you, and then go from there, get a dog after that. How's Bang doing? She's doing well. She's training well. Jana says, I love the Patreon. Sam's mom says, Chico, I've got a serious crush on Chico. Chico's a sweet dog, man. He reminds me a lot of Onyx, but he's social. Like Onyx, like same drive. Like Onyx was crazy, crazy ball drive, crazy, crazy food drive. Chico's the same. Um, like it's drive so crazy that like you're a little bit worried you're going to get hurt. Like if you're not careful in how you give him the ball, like he's going to take your ball and three fingers along with it. If you're not careful how you give him the food, same kind of deal. Just extreme drives, and I love that in a dog. And he's tough, but he's also social. Like the girls in the kennel can take him out. Like he's fine. Like he's a social dog, which is nice. Do I have dates for the protection seminar in January yet? Veronica, I don't know. I'm still debating it. I know I'm kind of out of time now. I'm still debating if I want to do it. I'm not sure yet. Mace was not adopted to a new family. He was never with a family. That is not a dog for the family. he was no, he's not with his original owner. He's with a new owner now, and I'm wishing them all the best. Raw as in tough love? No, raw as in uncensored training where I'm telling you everything I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I'm showing everything. Yeah, Tyler, Chico is a good looking dog. Is it possible to train a working line Buceron for French ring? I'm sure it is. I'm sure some people have done it. Do you know anything about the Van Teeker hook lines? Yeah, I think they're overrated. Julie, like a lot of things, I think they're overrated. But yeah, it's working lines, right? I've seen some good dogs out of it, but I also think they're overrated. My 1.8-year-old Rottweiler is sometimes reactive to the noise and sudden movement of my kid. Is there still a chance to desensitize her to my kid? If your dog is being reactive to your kid, that's huge red flags. I don't mess around with kids and dogs. If the dog is unsafe with the child, move the dog along. Some dogs are just not suited to live in a home with children, with small children. And with a Rottweiler and small children, you don't get a lot of chances, right? I don't mess around with stuff like that. I'll punish the dog for offering that behavior towards the child, but if I don't see the behavior fix itself very quickly, that dog does not stay in my home. Small children and dogs, It's not a game to play. You have to be very careful. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. Dogs like Mace are important for the breed, and they're important. Like, we shouldn't just have dogs that are so like always compliant and submissive. We need dogs like Mace, real dogs, like dogs that are from maybe another time. It's important to, obviously not everyone should have these dogs, and we shouldn't have too many of them, but sometimes it's good to have them. How long should you wait before using the same trail to track again? I mean, if you're asking when can you track on the same field, I mean, generally for me, 2 days, and I'll track on the same spot that I was on a day or two ago. Alouettes or Blue Bombers, I'm not interested in the CFL at all, nor am I into the NFL. I'm not a football guy. I've never been interested. If you are not on property and your dog encounters trespasser, will the dog draw on natural guarding instincts or draw on trained protection? No, the dog's going to draw on his genetic predispositions, Mona, and he's going to do what he's genetically predisposed to do. Is wrapping the sleeve with the dog's legs a dirty behavior? No, it's a possession behavior. It means the dog really wants it. I mean, is it productive? Depends on what you're doing. Oftentimes the answer is no, in which case we need to direct the dog into productive activities. Do I still have a Toronto location? Not currently, I don't. I just joined the Patreon. Can you show a little bit of Nervy dogs or more stuff from online courses on there? Online courses are online courses, James. I'm not going to post online course content on the Patreon. Um, if you're asking me like to show some fearful dogs, I probably will at some point. We've got one we're working with right now that he's a fearful presa. So you'll see it. But people think I do all this like crazy different stuff for fearful nervy dogs. I don't. I run them through my elite off leash obedience program, the same as I run any dog through it. Um, you know, it's just about fearful dogs. All they need is clear boundaries. What a fearful dog really struggles with is the unknown, right? A lot of people think, oh, it's pressure, right? Oh, you have to be like, you can't put pressure on a fearful dog or you'll make him more fearful. That's actually incorrect. A fearful dog is usually already, if it's truly fearful, he's in a state of fight or flight. Usually it's flight or freeze at all times, right? Freeze or flight. Shouldn't say fight, right? Rarely is it fight. It's usually freeze or flight. And what I do is I say, okay, dog, you're going to be doing all of these things. I'm going to guide you through all this stuff. You can't run, you can't freeze, right? You're going to walk through doorways. You're going to walk up and down stairs. You're going to walk next to me. You're not going to run from me. You're going to walk around with other dogs and people around and noises and all the things that you're scared of. You're just going to learn to deal with it and you're going to learn to follow the rules. And I'm going to show you what to do in every situation. I take away all the unknown. I take away all the shades of gray. I make their world black and I make their world white. A lot of the times the people are trying to like get these dogs to come out by like, coochie cooing them and giving them food and stuff. Listen, a dog in freeze or flight isn't going to eat, or if they eat, it's not going to be enough to motivate them to actually change the emotion. What changes the emotion is teaching them how to handle it. What is a truly nervy or fearful dog? It's a dog that can't handle mental adversity. How do you deal with a dog or a person that can't handle mental adversity? You teach them how to handle it. You don't bribe them into it, right? The force free types, they always try to do that shit. It doesn't ever work, right? The only way you ever teach a fearful dog to deal with the world is you show them how to handle mental adversity in a productive way, how to come through it and be successful, how to come through the fear and do the things that he or she needs to do in order to live, in order to survive, in order to thrive, right? And I just take them through my elite off leash program. And you should see how they come out. They start looking normal. There's videos on YouTube of like I posted for free of like the before and after with a nervy fearful dog. I've never seen baboons keeping dogs as slaves, as you put it. I've never seen that, but that's interesting. Have I ever bitten a dog? No. That's disgusting. Why would I do that? I've been bitten by a dog, but I did not bite him back. Your English staffy likes taking your spot. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Maybe he just likes the warmth that you leave behind. How can I get in touch with you for details? I don't know what you're talking about, but if you want to get in touch with the company, you can get in touch with us at info@shieldk9.ca. Green Party in Australia and Austria is trying to ban all bite sports. Of course they are. Everyone's freaking out. Sign this petition. Europe is done. Western Europe is done. Bite sports in Western Europe, or most of it's going to be done. They already have all these crazy rules. I don't know why people are, oh, sign the petition. The petition isn't going to stop anything. People, the horse has left the barn, guys. It's done over there. It's done. And all the people that said, oh, this isn't going to affect me and I'll just mind my own business and be quiet and I'll let the crazy purple hair girl in the club and let her video things and say stupid things and, do all this type of stuff, man, it's gone. It's done. You had a chance to do something. That chance is now over and done with. Listen, I had this conversation with Stefan on my podcast, so I'm not going to get too far into it. But if dog sport people were really serious about getting out of the situation that they're in, where the sport's being banned, training is being banned, all this type of stuff, what you're going to do is you're going to form one organization, not a nonsensical organization, but like one organization that everybody, every club, every breed club, every IGP club, every international organization is going to contribute to. And that organization is going to lobby government to ensure dog trainers' rights, dog training and dog sport and dog activities are maintained. That's what anything, like, look, if you want to do something, for instance, with, I don't know, let's think of something like, I don't know, something popular, like, I don't know, boxing, or no, better, horse racing. Let's say you wanted to mess with horse racing. I want to ban horse racing, right? Well, guess what? There's a horse racing lobby. The horse racing people, right? All the equestrian people, they hire, like, they have company, they have like a lobbyist organization that they all pay into, that goes to government, goes to all the functions, that is in the congressman's office or in the prime minister's office. And they're going to all the balls and the charity events and shit like that. And they're lobbying the government right along with the animal rights groups. The animal rights groups do that. They use charitable donations to lobby government, right? It's the same thing. That's what you do if you want to actually control what have a say in what's going on a legislative standpoint. So yeah, no, Austria's done. Let it be done. Let it be done. When doing a bark and hold, how can you avoid the dog jumping on the decoy in the first two barks? The dog just has to understand that he can't. There's a correction if he does it. If he does it, he can't. If a dog understands how to bark and he understands what he must not do, then it's not a problem. When does your Slavic connection get some love? My Slavic connection? I don't know what you're talking about, my friend. Does the Pro Trainer course cover personal protection? No, it does not. It covers training dogs, training pet dogs, and doing behavior training. How often will you end a session with a dog frustrated? Depends on the dog. How do you work around displacement sniffing? Depends on the situation. When Larry met Kevin, he said, holy shit, it's something. Yeah. Did Mace give me any shit before I just handed him off? Did he correct me? No. What? No, he didn't. When does the family you get dogs from get some respect? The family I get dogs from? What family do you think I get dogs from? Do me a favor and tell me. What family am I getting dogs from? Nomadic adventures. since you think you know so much. There's no one family I get dogs from. There's no one person I get dogs from. I buy dogs from all over. Nobody has all the types of dogs that I like to get, right? I'll buy one or two dogs here, one or two dogs there. You know, in fact, the place that I get consistently the most dogs is certainly not in Slovakia or Europe. Come on, Haz, I need to book clients for January. All right. In a week, I'll confirm. How about that? In a week, I'll confirm. Hey, Haz, what do I like or dislike about PSA? What would you change in this sport? I like the diversity of the scenarios. I like, how extreme it is on some ends. What I don't like about PSA is because they tried to make it a competition against the sport, which I think they've been quite successful at doing, looking at how few people have a PSA 3, what they did was they forced you to neutralize the dogs so much to the decoy that the dogs really can't get too emotional about the bite work anymore. The dogs have to stay relatively calm and even in the bite work. Otherwise, like you can't have an angry dog in PSA. You know what I mean? Because if you do, he's not going to be successful in the high levels. He's going to be stimulated to bite and he's going to end up biting, right? Or he's going to run out of energy and gas out really fast. I like dogs to be a little bit more open in the protection than would be possible in PSA. Also, I think sometimes it gets a little ridiculous because they're trying to make it so hard that very few people can pass that it kind of has to get a little bit ridiculous in order for that to be the case. So it kind of almost goes a little too far sometimes with how like crazy the scenarios are. And people say, "Oh, PSA is so real." It's not at all realistic. You know what I mean? Put a lot of time into dogs. Why I ask for recognition as any artist. Nomadic Adventures. I don't know you, man. I never bought a dog from you. Maybe I did at some point. I don't know. Like, I don't even know you, bro. Put your real name out there. When am I going to nationals? And if I bought a dog from you at some point, thanks, I guess. I buy dogs from a lot of people, man. You know, if it was like the most specialist dog ever, I would say it. The best dogs I've ever bought were actually probably the strongest few dogs I've ever owned are Canadian dogs. So, I know if you're in Slovakia, I didn't buy one from you. Did I even breed a smaller male with a much larger female? And do you think there should be that kind of breeding? And what kind of offspring will they produce? They will produce some big dogs, some small dogs, and some little dogs. The problem with that is, you're always going to have now small in the pedigree, and small is going to pop up. And it depends if you're okay with small, right? Listen, Gage is a smaller dog, but if he had really strong nerves, like nerves that were stronger and he was a bit more social, I would use him in breeding for sure. You know, has make a full training series or program from first day to finish. I'd pay for that. My friend, Patreon, I'm showing all the training of my new dog and my puppy, and you're seeing it from the beginning to the end. And I also show it on my online courses. So there's no like, I'm not keeping it a secret, trust me. What traits is Django showing that you feel make him a prospect PP dog? What percentage of pups like Django live up to your expectations? To Django, you're referring to one of my new puppies that I have in my program. He's showing drive. He's social. He's confident. He's outgoing. He picks up new things quickly, and he has the family tree for that type of work. So, that's fundamentally it. Can a dog be insecure and confident at the same time naturally? Like thunderstorms, fireworks, loud noises, different surfaces, doesn't give a shit. But another dog much better after your course, though. Absolutely. You have dogs that are environmentally very strong, but socially very weak, and then socially very strong and environmentally weak, right? Or you'll have a dog that he's great with everything except just this one thing, just this one type of floor, this one type of stairs he's just not good at. But everything else, he'll do it. Dogs are like people. They come in all types. You run into everything. I have a German Shepherd since a puppy. Your videos helped me train her effectively when the snake oil training wasn't working. She has full freedom and gets so many compliments. Keep up the great videos. Awesome, David. I'm super happy to hear that. Nomadic Adventures. Hope that cigar was put in a humidor. It certainly was, my friend. You are on something tonight, man. You are excited. Whatever you're on, I'm hope. Stop avoiding questions. Our family provides a minimum of 30% of your green dogs. That would be impossible because you are not in the right country, my friend, to give me 30% of my green dogs. There's only one place that you could actually say I probably get about 30% of my dogs, and it's not with you. I know that for a fact. I don't even know who you are. I got a Shield Canine place board. It looks great, and my dog seems to love it. How can I inquire about a working line dog from you in the future? Email info@shieldk9.ca. We have some breedings planned. What does it mean when my German Shepherd leans his back on my legs in a sit position while I'm standing? He likes body contact with you. Let me see what else we got. I often heard about good and bad nerves in a dog. Can you explain more how you define them? Very simple. Good nerves, dog is generally stable and solid with everything, social and environmental stimulation. Bad nerves, the dog is easily nervous by things, right? Like, oh, stairs, scary, loud noise, scary, other dogs, scary, strange person, scary. They're the dogs, they're super jumpy, they're nervous, right? It's that simple. Nomadic Adventures, you continue to entertain me with your comments. I think I'm behind you. You have to realize I'm scrolling piece by piece through the comments. So if you posted something, if you're putting something in right now, I'm behind you, right? Like I'm not jumping ahead to other comments. What are some beginner mistakes when training obedience? Going too fast and not progressing past your foundation. Like you haven't laid the foundation in properly and you're already progressing. The dog doesn't 100% understand. And not layering in motivation and obligation. All good training has motivation and obligation. You want to do it, you have to do it. And then you have to fade the help so that the dog just does it. And most people don't know how to go through that process properly. And they end up with a dog that kind of half ass does things. What's the first step to getting into protection work? Understanding it and then learning the physical mechanics of it, right? So for me with protection work, when I decided that I wanted to do it, I knew I had to understand the theory of it. And guess how hard it is to find theory, like protection work theory? It's not easy to find it, right? Like most people don't have it. They just kind of go out with the dog and do things and watch things happen. Hey, this guy showed me to do this, so I just do it like this. But they don't really understand what they're doing. They don't understand the drives. They don't understand how they're opening the drives, how to close the drives, how to switch the drives, how to channel the drives into specific behaviors, how to fix various problems, how to diagnose what they're seeing in front of them. Most people don't understand this because they don't have a strong grounding in the theory of protection work. They don't understand how the dogs actually view protection work and how to get the dogs to do things in protection work. So you have to have a good understanding in theory. I'm going to give you a shameless plug. My Protection Foundation course does this. I'm sure there's some other courses out there that also do this. You have to look into it, find it. Once you have that, then you get access to dogs. You do the mechanics. You go to decoy seminars, stuff like that. You learn the body mechanics that you need to know in order to stimulate the dog to do the things that you now understand um, why they do what they do. And then you just go and you keep working and you get dogs behind you, as many dogs under your belt as possible, and you build up experience. And after maybe a few years, you start to develop some aptitude. Crank and yank. Nomadic adventures. I don't crank and yank, my friend. And when I crank and yank, I do it for a very specific reason or purpose. It's funny every time people try to think they know what I do. Oh, I know what he does. They don't. If you knew what I did, maybe you would be doing as well as I do. But in many cases, the answer is you don't know. Remember, you know, when you see me do something on YouTube, I'm not just doing it, right? Or you see me doing something in person. I'm not, there's a lot behind it. There's a lot why I do. I'm a cerebral dog trainer, right? I don't just go and do stuff and hope for the best. Like everything I do is part of a plan for the most part. It's part of a system, right? Do I make mistakes? Sure, sometimes I'll make mistakes. But like we have a system that we follow for everything from protection work to sport training to tracking to obedience to behavior modification. I have systems. I follow systems. That is the key to success is systems, progressive training through a system. I have your online sports bundle. I'm having issues with creating activity, especially during the midday. I feel like my dog might be undercrated. Yeah, I mean, some dogs love that type of work, and some dogs are just not for that type of work. Creating a dog can help. If your dog is constantly self-satisfying in the home, playing with the other dogs in the home, playing with the people, of course, maybe they're not going to be so motivated to work with you. So you can try creating the dog a little bit more and see if it improves the drive. You can also try training on alternate days instead of every single day. Sometimes that can help as well. Just, leaving the dog to his or her own devices for a day and then all of a sudden taking them out and training them. That time off, all of a sudden they're like, okay, kind of, I want to do this. So it could be the answer. Love your content has getting a booster on in February. Excited to implement everything I've learned. Likely going to also sign up for the puppy course. Excellent. Happy to have you on. Is using a prong collar to help with healing ever permissible on a 12-week-old plus puppy? I don't make 12-week-old plus puppies heal. I don't. Is Akitas hard to train? Akitas are like the mules of the dog world, so they're definitely not the easiest dogs to train. Do I have Dogecoin? No, I don't. I'm hand feeding for 3 months now, but my female often still refuses, like every second day. What do I recommend? Feed less, and if your female refuses, like if I give food and the dog clearly doesn't care to eat, then I just put the dog away. You know, oftentimes I'm like, oh, you don't want to eat? I don't want to feed you. You tell me when you want to eat, I'll feed you. What do I think about the XL bully being banned in the UK? I think in the UK there are many things that are banned that are more important than the XL bully. The right to protect oneself, knives, guns, free speech. The XL bully is like really a small potatoes in comparison to all of that, right? Um, I'm sure many more things will be banned soon, so stay tuned. I think I have to build a fan base, start doing IGP live stream, like for Worlds. Yeah, I mean, my next competition, maybe I'll try to live stream it, but usually, like, the internet is just not good. Like, especially at these Schützenfields, you won't see anything. It'll be all pixelated. You know what I mean? That's the reality, unfortunately. Any upcoming competition obedience course? I just finished my tracking course. I'll probably give the people in my Facebook group and my Patreon access to it first, and then more. I don't speak Deutsch. Sorry. Our older German Shepherd is going to be meeting Jesus soon. Unfortunately, well, I'm sorry to hear it. Would I buy a Rottweiler? No, I wouldn't. Been doing your course. Malinois has been doing great. Only issue I've been having is when I correct him with the prong collar, he goes after the leash. I've been working around it, but curious. Well, the solution to that is you shouldn't be using the pinch collar anymore. A lot of dogs like Malinois, pitties, stuff like that, they're pain activation dogs. If you make physical discomfort on them, it usually amps them up and it doesn't bring them down. So you need to take the dog off of it. And, we talk about this in the course, right? And I think you should follow it. Um, How do I find a healthy pup? Best question to ask. And how do you choose your breeders? I choose the breeders because I decide what I want to do with my dogs. This is the mistake a lot of people make. They buy a dog and then decide what they want to do. It's like buying a car and then deciding what you need the car for. First, you must decide what you want to do with your dog. Then you look for breeders that are producing the kind of dogs that are doing what you want to do with a dog and having the type of dogs that you want to have. And then you buy a dog from them. Has my cattle dog and I have started your reactive bundle. I'm happy to hear that, Kyle, and I hope that reactivity is done soon. Notice the nervous behaviors. I think you're on something tonight, man. Whatever you're on, it's good stuff. Who's the sire of a dog you sold? Nico. Nico comes from Onyx. Kyle says, you are changing our relationship so much. I assume you're talking about your cattle dog. Maybe your wife. I don't know. Thanks so much for what you do. I appreciate you, buddy. What made me switch from two Mals to two Shepherds? I like the mentality of the German Shepherd a little more. What BRN on the Dutchy Mace? I posted it on Instagram a while ago. Um, I can't remember it off the top of my head. You can go look. Do I know Hans Bodenmur, RSV 2000? Ever seen a dog from his program? No, I don't know him. Will I be getting more large place beds in stock? At some point. Do you have a shadow or observer option for your facility? I've had trainers ask me to come and watch what we do for a week. I do charge for it, but if you want, you can email info@shieldk9.ca. It's definitely not just something I let people do. Is making a noise every time the dog regrips only rewarding for certain dogs or all? It rewards, it's a marker, right? It depends also what that noise means. You have to follow it with something physical. Otherwise, it's nothing, right? Uh, did you guys end up hiring any apprentices yet? I was at your seminar last week, was only able to go Friday, but really enjoyed myself. You guys are awesome. Felt at home. Thanks again. It's nice to have you, Brent. I hope you enjoyed yourself. You saw some real IGP training. Good stuff. Not the stuff maybe that you see most places, but it was real stuff, you know? Um, yeah. We're looking through those emails right now, and we'll make selections for people to interview, and then we'll interview them. So if you're interested in internship and you live in Southern Ontario within an hour of our Guelph location, you're welcome to submit a resume, and we will be taking on some interns in the next couple weeks. What dog training course do you recommend to do in the UK to become a dog trainer? Um, I don't know any dog training courses, so I can't recommend. Other than mine, I don't know any, right? I absolutely love the work you do. Been in a dark place in life, and I find joy watching your content. Don't find joy watching my content. Go out there and do some shit, my friend. Whenever you're in a dark place, the worst thing you can do is stay in the dark. Get up, get moving, get out. It always gets better. On the other side of pain is usually the best things in life. On the other side of pain, you know? It's always easy to be in good times, but when it's tough times, that's when you really find out who you are. And if you stick it out, usually it gets a lot better, man. So get out of that dark place, man. Get out there, start doing some stuff. Train some dogs, my friend. Any stories on the worst dogs you've bought? My friend, I bought several dogs that I've ended up just giving away. And they were, in all cases, dogs that. Sorry, guys. We went out there for a second. They won't honor any kind of health guarantee. Um, It's it- with Europe, it's one and done for the most part. You buy the dog, it's your dog for better or for worse. During COVID, I was buying dogs exclusively off videos, and when you do that, you have to realize you only see so much in a video. When you do that, you see that the dog comes, and there was a couple dogs that came, and they were just terrible. Like they could do the things you saw in the video, but outside of that stuff in life, just not good nerves. Um, in environmental instabilities, behavioral instabilities, health issues, whatever else. Buying you when you buy dogs to sell them, you have to be ready that sometimes it's not going to go well, right? And you have to be ready that sometimes in the training you're going to find problems that you didn't see when you were testing the dog initially, right? I'm not in the dog flipping business because that would imply that I just bought them and sold them. For the most part, I buy them, train them, then sell them. So, usually, like, we're good at it now, obviously, so we don't make maybe the same mistakes that I would make in the beginning, but for sure you have to be ready to take some losses, right? Should I correct my Malinois for laying down on her hip instead of straight down? If we're talking about functional obedience, no. If we're talking about real obedience, if we're talking about competition obedience, yes. But you cannot correct a dog that doesn't understand the desired behavior. First, you must show the dog the desired behavior. Then maybe you can correct the dog for not doing it. What causes displacement behaviors? Fear, for the most part, avoidance, insecurity, right? The dog's the dog's trying to get out of whatever it is, the social interaction, the training, whatever it is, right? If we're talking about the same things. That's the problem in the dog world. People say things like displacement behaviors, prey drive, defense, fight drive, you know, fear, stress, and they mean different things completely. There's good stress and there's bad stress. There's good fear and there's bad fear. You know, Prey drive can mean a lot of different things. It can mean the drive for objects. It can mean a certain drive in protection. It can mean the drive to catch and kill small animals, right? Like a lot of the time we use these words as if everybody understands what you're saying or what you mean. And in dog training, that's not the case. I have a 3-year-old Malinois. I use it for protection. He does not have a pedigree, and I would like to know where he is from and from all the genetics. Is there a test out there to know all of that? No, you're not gonna find the pedigree off a test, unfortunately. Did you collect and freeze Mace before he left? No, I did not. I do not breed Dutchies for them. I do not breed Dutchies. Like I breed herders sometimes, but I don't breed Dutchies. Would you be a guest on DTP Dog Trainer Podcast? I don't know. Send me the details. I'll look at it, and if it makes sense, then sure. And if it doesn't, thank you, but no thank you. The time off worked for my German Shepherd. Yeah, it often works. Did Kevin find a home? Yes, he did find a home. We're waiting to see how it works out. I've been told not to allow a dog to lean on you because the dog feels the need to protect you versus you taking care of the dog. I don't think so. Do I have a book? I have a book. It's called No Nonsense Dog Training. You can find it on my website, shieldk9.ca. You can see that link in the description below. Can a beginner own a female German Shepherd working line? In fact, I recommend beginners own female working dogs. I think it's always the best for beginners. If you're going to get into working dogs, you get a female. They're always easier to handle. Hire a videographer. I have a videographer, in case you haven't noticed watching my YouTube videos. They're very well edited. I'm not using this a videographer for this. This is me sitting outside on my phone, smoking a cigar at 8:30 at night, and my videographer is doing something else somewhere else. So I'm not gonna have him come here at night and follow me around. Do I have classes in person to train people to become trainers? You can email us at info@shieldk9.ca. We will do it. It's not really classes, but we will offer paid apprenticeships. But it has to be obviously for the right fit. Your courses from puppy to off leash made my German Shepherd so good. I question myself. Is it genetics? Your courses are great. Maybe it's a bit of both, Stephanie. Maybe it's a bit of both, but I think our courses are pretty great. David says, do you believe that some level dog's aggression can be innate and unfixable? Innate is not unfixable, but most aggression is innate, David. Most aggression is innate. I took on a pretty wild Corso when he was 3. A year later, he is no longer reactive. He can be off lead, but if a dog comes directly into him, he'll want to mess it up. Of course, David. My personal dog, Gage, I can walk him around other dogs, but if another male dog comes up to him, he's going to want to mess it up too. There's lines, there's a limit for everything. We have to be reasonable. Is Marchberger Kennels a vendor you use commonly? Nope. And he's not even a kennel a vendor that I know of. Hi, Haas. My almost 3-year-old Mally X all of a sudden has begun to mark, and when he gets the ball as a reward, sometimes now he doesn't want to out. Is he now trying to become dominant over me? I wouldn't use that word. I would simply say that the dog doesn't understand the rules, and you need to remind him of the rules. It's not like a plan. Ha ha ha! I'm going to do this, and I'm going to achieve dominance over the. Your name's Barbie on here. Over Barbie, and if I don't give her the ball, I'm going to be the dominant. No, it's not that, right? It's just the dog. The dog isn't being compliant with you. So you need to make the rules clear, and there needs to be a consequence for failing to follow the rules, and there needs to be a consequence for following the rules, right? Congratulations on your recent IGP seminar. Super jealous. Yeah, Stefan was great. I'm going to have him come back in February. I always learn things from Stefan. I always enjoy working with him. He's a straight dude. Um, what are your thoughts on line breeding with the German Shepherd? I see some well-known breeders do it, but others against it. The pros are if you're line breeding properly, you know what you're getting, and you should be line breeding in and out, and you should be line breeding on the right individuals. The downsides are if there's bad recessives in the individual that you're line breeding on and the lines that you're line breeding on, you're going to get some problems. The problem with mixed breeding, where you're just constantly like it's a scatter pedigree and like everything's different in the pedigree and there's no line breeding, is just like it's hard to set a type. There's just all sorts of things there, right? When you set a type, when you have a certain type of dog and a certain bloodline that you're line breeding on, you kind of know what you're going to get. That's how you set type, right? And as a breeder, you should be looking to set type. You shouldn't just be like, well, they're both great dogs. Let's see what happens. That's not an effective. That's just like you're rolling the dice. You're not really a breeder. Uh, let's see what else we got. Hey, how is Yaxie at his new home? They love him. I think he's doing great there. No surprise. He has nice looking cigar. Glad to hear Kevin found a home. I'm glad too. The cigar lives are the best. Your online courses come with a Facebook group to ask questions in. I think I read that somewhere. That is correct. There is a Facebook group where all the elite members reside. Sometimes they squabble with one another. Sometimes they support one another. Sometimes they ask good questions. It's an entertaining group. I have a 5-month-old Doberman. I know your favorite. That is great with people, but barks in other dogs' faces. Corrections from other dogs don't phase him. How can I correct this? Yeah, don't let other dogs correct him. How can you correct this? Um, you don't have a you don't have one problem. You have a lot of problems, right? You have to learn how to communicate with your dog. You have to learn, how to teach your dog rules. You have to learn how to manage your dog in social interactions. This is a holistic training system. It's not just do this and correct this one problem you have, because you don't have one problem. You actually have more than one problem. So I would take my dog through a complete training system. Shameless plug, Elite Off Leash Obedience course. This will tell you what to do in all situations, give you full control over your dog. You can tell them what to do and what not to do. Everybody take a shot of Uzo every time Nomadic Adventure says something. When am I inviting Dog Daddy onto my podcast? I don't know. I mean, I'm not against it. I just like I don't. The people that come on my podcast are like already coming here. I don't actually just fly them in for my podcast, so I don't know. I'm in the USA. I watch your YouTube all the time. I just joined Patreon. Is there more so I can learn before I get a pup? I don't want to be ignorant. So, Cece, if you're getting a puppy and you want to know everything there is to know about puppy training, my Patreon's good. Like, I show some training, but I'm showing like a lot of sport training on there. If you want like puppy training step by step, my off leash my puppy training course is the way to go, right? My Patreon is more raw training footage with my personal dogs, and then other dogs that we're training here. I'm going to be showing stuff, but it's not like step by step instructions on what to do with your brand new puppy. We have a course for that, so I'm not going to like redo the exact same thing on Patreon. Any recommended German Shepherd breeders that you use from Germany? No. Um, Thoughts on trying to create my own new breed? I'm 26 and a former military canine handler. Why? Why? It's like kind of saying, like, I want to create my own new car. Why? Is there not a car out there already that gives you all the things that you want? What good do you think? You know how many guys think, I'm going to make my own new breed, and it never turns into anything other than just mutts that nobody ends up wanting? What makes you think you know and understand dogs so intimately that you can create a new breed that people are actually going to want? Because them wanting it is actually really important. If they don't want it, then these dogs are just going to sit. They're not going to have any value. They're going to end up homeless. They're going to end up being abused. They're going to end up neglected. I wouldn't do that. I would pick a breed that has the quality that you're looking for. And if within individual breeds, there's a lot of different variations. There's a lot of different types of Malinois. There's a lot of different types of German Shepherds, Dutchies, whatever type of breed. There's a million variations within each individual breed. I'm sure you can find what you're looking for, and then you get to use those dogs and breed those dogs. CC Haz's book is a good read for pre-puppy learning too. Yeah, it's a good read for that as well. My wife and I will be using your training to train our Sarplanic puppy. He reminds me of Kevin. Yeah, they're very similar breeds. It's getting cold out here. Would you say Mace or Lucifer from Fallen Star is stronger? They're very different types of dog. Lucifer probably has more like prey drive, but Mace is more dominant dog. Would you line breed from Quartz von der Staatsmacht? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like, I'm not going out of my way to like find just quards, but look, if you look at my dog Chico, you look at his pedigree, you look at Bang, you can kind of see where my breeding is going if you look at the pedigrees of the dogs that I have. Will I be ready to train client dogs after taking the pro trainer course? Yes, that is exactly the goal of the pro trainer course, is so that look, the reality is everybody gets excited about protection training and stuff like that, but that's a very niche market. If you want to be a professional dog trainer, you need to be able to train pets. You need to be able to do it effectively. You need to be able to do it quickly. You need to be able to give people value for their money, and effectively fix common behavioral problems, and give them strong functional obedience training that they can use in the real world, and that's going to make them happy, and it's going to be worth their time and their money. And that's what the Pro Trainer course is going to teach. It's going to teach you how to service 95% of the clients that you're going to run into. And then from there, if you have an interest in protection training, you can certainly pursue it. Does a trainer sport dictate whether they can build a proper protection dog? Not really. I mean, it depends. There's a lot of people in dog sport that like can't really build anything, but they can like train the dog. You know what I mean? And there's some people that can do it all. They can do the decoy work. They can do they can manage their own training, and like they really like have a deep understanding of the sport from the ground up. And then there's a lot of people in the sport that they have like four people behind them holding their hand to get them where they want to go, And it's like a lot of people, you see like them on the podium. I'll give you an example. This might not be popular. There was like, I can't even remember what the competition was. There was like some IGP competition, and there was like a podium, and there was like three ladies on the podium, and it's like girl power, three girls on the podium, yay. And it's like, what are we talking about here? Those three girls like all have like guys behind them helping them get there. They couldn't get there by themselves, right? Like they needed a guy to do the helper work. Some of them have male training directors. They've got male mentors. It's like, stop this nonsense. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people in the sport have a team behind them that got them there. And some people don't. But most of them do, right? So there's just because you're like on the podium or you're in the sport doesn't mean you actually know everything and that you're able to build dogs from the ground up, right? What are my thoughts on a German Shepherd ex Kenna Corso? My thoughts are, don't do it. 5 months old female working line German Shepherd, high drive for food toys, gets overly excited. Good. Grabs rewards, bites at me while carrying her toys. How to calm her? Train her. You must train her. You can read my book. You can take one of my online courses. That will help you. Do you take unstable working dogs out in public off leash? What's an unstable working dog? Like all the dogs that we have, it's like, do they have extremities in drive? Can they, be triggered into doing a certain behavior? I'll tell you this. My dog Gage, I take him off leash, plenty of places. I took Onyx off leash plenty of places. Many people would say they're unstable, but they go off leash because I guess I have control of them regardless of their instability. Nomadic Adventures. I'm going to say this once to you because I seem that you're desperate for my attention. I have never bought a single dog from you. I don't resell your dogs. I don't know who you are. Just stop. Hi, Has. Thanks for all your content. I watch every day. Do you think it's a problem for a dog to have a special blanket that he holds in his mouth and gums like a pacifier? I mean, if you want your dog to walk around carrying a blankie, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's for me, it's not something that I would allow. Like, it's just weird, Like, if it's like at home on his bed, he has this little blanket. Okay, fine, no problem. Dog daddy training dogs in shades and walking around in Gucci. Dogs are man's best friend, but they like women sometimes. They sure do. Let me see. Keep up the good work. You are a cool guys. Yes, German Shepherds are exceptional. Yes. AJ Scales, my buddy AJ, Chocolate Chi. Let's do a jujitsu and dogs podcast. I've learned there is a lot of correlation. I should have you and Lucas on for a podcast. You know what? Next time you come, I'm going to do you and Lucas together because you two monsters can, chat it up. And then I'll just push both your buttons. How about that? And we'll see how that podcast goes. What's a Patreon and how do I join? Patreon is like a subscriber platform. So like you pay like monthly, mine's $9 a month, and you just get on there and you just have access to all my, the videos that I put on Patreon for the subscribers, right? It's kind of like almost like a Netflix, almost. Breed a Chihuahua with a King Corso. Yeah, exactly. I didn't explain myself properly. Is there a test to know how pure my dog is? Yeah, you can take a test if you want to know, like, if there's other breeds in your dog, for sure. I think Embark does those tests. What makes Carson a great trainer? What are his strengths? His strengths is he truly has a passion for the training. Many trainers do not, and that passion inspires him to continue to learn. He also has respect. Many trainers do not. I'll say this: the guy started with me, and even when he went to start his own business and so on and so forth, and he did well, he was always, he always maintained that respect. And not all the guys that started with me did that. He maintained the respect, and he maintained a relationship with me, and he always showed a continuing interest in furthering his education. Many trainers don't. They just learn enough to make some money, and then they run off, and all of a sudden they know everything. They're a god and they're making money, and they've only been doing it for like a year. So it's like Carson is not that guy, and he's actually quite good at dog training, and he's calm. Like he doesn't get flustered, and he's not scared of the dogs, and he takes on like the real dogs, like for training dogs like Vasco. Like he said he wanted to train a real dog. I got him. We ended up getting him the realest dog we could find, and he took that dog on and he trained that dog. I told you guys that story. He got messed up by that Dutchy Danger, and a week later he came back to work. He has the mentality for the work, and he has the passion for the work, and that's why he's successful, and he will continue to be successful. But don't tell him I said that. uh, all right, guys, I'm getting cold. I'm getting cold. Uh, I'm gonna wrap it up shortly. Let's see if there's anything really interesting here. Black Friday is racist. Oh my gosh, what's going on here, guys? Come on. Uh, all right. You red pilled me about dog training. We're gonna end with that. We're gonna end with that, man. That's awesome. Hey, I want to give people the real goods. I'm not interested in how you feel about it. I'm only interested in what works and what doesn't work. I'm always interested in the results. And with dog training, the dogs don't lie, man. It either works or it doesn't work. Guys, you have a good night. I'm freezing my butt off out here. It's like feels like 1 or 2 degrees out here. Anyways, guys, have a good night. Have a safe weekend. Have a good weekend. Have a blessed evening and weekend. And I'll see you guys on the next one.